Hello, my name is Ozzie, and from the twin stars of Buddhist to the asteroid fields of LP 98132, we're going to be looking at the things to see and do in Elite Dangerous Alpha 4. Now, previously I looked at some of the new features available in the 4th Alpha. This video is more about some of the more specific, like random events and places you can actually go to, rather than like the new forms of travel and trading. So we will start off at the twin stars of Buddhist, which I just happened to be passing while approaching an unidentified signal, which is basically the random events that are available. And so I didn't have the best angle in the world, but you can still see them as I pass by, and they look pretty nice. And I think in the next clip you actually get a better shot of them anyway. And so once I arrived at that signal, I basically found myself in the middle of a Federation military, either like a resupply mission or a training exercise. I wasn't quite sure either way, but it was pretty cool just to, you know, this was miles away from anywhere. It took me ages to get here, and just the fact that out in the middle of nowhere there's still stuff going on, NPCs are active, and you could bump into other players sort of looking around the same areas. So yeah, it was pretty neat to find something like this so far away from all the stations and the normal things to do. Going on from here, I started heading off towards another signal straight away, which actually took me towards the red planet of Maha, or Maher, or I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, Maher maybe. And the source itself was the moon Maher Prime, but the planet looked pretty cool as I was approaching. And then the signal itself was another random event. This time round it was a Federation pilot that wanted me to submit for a cargo scan, obviously making sure I'm not pirating trafficking any contraband. So, you know, again, pretty cool, breathes life into the universe. I was fine, didn't have any cargo, so once he was done, he let me go on my way. And I headed off to another system, to one of the resource extraction sites. On approach, though, I didn't actually realise I was heading straight towards the edge of an asteroid belt, or one of the rings around this particular planet or moon. So I had a very close call, just barely missed the asteroids. I nearly flew straight into them at, you know, thousands of kilometers an hour, which wouldn't have ended well for me. And actually arriving in the asteroid field itself, you get a real sense of the scale of everything. I mean, each of these rocks is, you know, pretty big, and in the background you've got a planet that's, you know, much bigger. And as I was approaching them, like, you couldn't even see the rocks. It just looked like, you know, just a ring of colour. And even the planet itself you couldn't see until you're relatively close. So, you know, obviously space is huge, but actually arriving in the field like this gives you a real sense of the scale. And in the field itself there's a whole bunch of NPCs doing their own thing, mining the asteroids. There's actually pirates here as well, and you can attack them. One thing I noticed though is, I mean, these particular pirates were in Cobras, and the little free Signwider that you start with is really just not up to the task of killing them, because even though I can eventually kill him given enough time, they can just run away and enter super cruise, and that's it, they're just gone. You can't catch them at that point, or at least I don't know of any way of catching them at that point.
Detecting hostile scan.
But having that sort of encounter kind of made me want to do a bit more fighting, so I went back to one of the missions that was available in the previous alpha, one of the faction battles. And what I noticed while I was here, and I don't know if you could do this before, you probably could, but you can actually, on your right console, select a faction, and then your heads-up display will show you, or like your radar will show you who's friend and who's foe, and it's really easy then to just target an enemy and go for it. And even though when you scan them it tells you that you know, they haven't broken any laws, there's no bounty on them, they're clean, because they're the enemy faction, or you've picked a side, you can actually shoot them. You know, it won't be considered a crime, and when you destroy them, the faction you're fighting for will give you a bounty, or at least they're supposed to. I was having trouble. Every ship I destroyed didn't give me bounty. This first one actually had other people shooting at it, so maybe they got the bounty, but I actually destroyed 3 or 4 more ships after this and just didn't get any bounties for any of them. So I've really been struggling to earn any money in this alpha beyond trading, which is just a very slow way of making money when you don't have much to begin with, especially in a sidewinder that only has enough cargo for 4 units, so you can't carry much. After this, I headed off to another ring around Smithies Claim, which is in the Dahan system, I believe. And when I approached, I just expected this to be another asteroid belt, but it actually turned out this looked like just a field of really fast moving dust. Now maybe if I got closer they were actually asteroids, maybe, you know, I wasn't as close as I thought and they were actually much bigger, but they were really fast moving, and I had some cargo in my hold that I didn't want to risk, so I didn't get much closer than I was comfortable with. But maybe I'll go back there sometime and actually find out if they are just really fast moving rocks, or if you can actually get in amongst the dust. You know, if I'm just in a free ship, I don't care if I lose it, but I had the cargo and didn't want to risk it. So that didn't quite give me the footage I was after, so I headed off to Anahit, which is in LP 98132, and this planet does actually have an asteroid belt around it. And one thing I noticed as approaching this, asteroids were actually sort of popping in and out of existence. Now, I don't think this is a bug, it's more probably just the way that that things are rendered. So as you approach, the game slowly adds more and more detail to things. So from far away, you're probably just looking at a texture. The ring is nothing more than a texture. I mean, this is all just me guessing. I don't know if this is actually true or not. But it appears that it's just a texture from far away, and as you get closer, it adds, you know, more and more detail, and then you start getting like the smaller just dots that are the what would be the individual asteroids. And I think at this point it was just I was close enough to see individual rocks, but it wasn't until I got really close that I was actually seeing, you know, the real rocks that were physically there. Before that, it was probably just a generic asteroid field that I was looking at. But getting in nice and close, I figured, hey, I'll land on one of the asteroids. It seemed like a fun thing to do. And there's no sort of real proper way of landing on the asteroids, other than just I deployed my landing gear and just kept going until I was sitting on top of the rock. But as you can see and hear from all the alarms going off, you know, I'm not really properly landed. I'm getting all my proximity warnings saying, you're about to crash, when actually I've just landed on the rock. From here I also turned off all my systems, and so this would be a really awesome way if you wanted to be a pirate, of just sitting at an asteroid field, sitting on an asteroid, and you can just reduce your heat to 0 so you're completely undetectable. You'll even see the cockpit frosting over because I'm just turning ice cold. And yeah, this would be an awesome way just to sort of camp out and wait for unsuspecting player to come through, and you can just easily turn on all your systems. It doesn't take long for your shield to recharge, and you could start shooting at someone and they'd have no idea where you came from. And at this point I was I pretty much had all the footage I wanted and was just heading back to a station and got ambushed, so I figured I'd include this in the video as well. And at this point, I'd been stopped by pirates a whole heap of times, but this time I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna turn around, fight the pirate, and show him who's boss. So I did that, and again it was in a Cobra, so this one didn't just run away straight away. I was actually dogfighting with it for quite a while, He never managed to deal any damage to me. I mean, he hit my shields a few times, but never got through to my hull, which I thought was pretty cool that I was able to fight in such a way that I didn't take any damage. So I think my piloting skills are improving a bit there. And I figured at some point, sooner or later, he's probably just going to try and run away. So I actually targeted his frameshift drive. On the left panel, you can actually target a subsystem. But it didn't seem to make any difference. I think from this, it just showed me the current health of the subsystem. It didn't actually cause me to do any damage to it directly. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be added, the ability to target a subsystem, or if there's, a special thing that you have to do. But all it did was show me the health, and I wasn't actually able to destroy it, and eventually the pirate just fled. So I wasn't able to get any bounty from him. So again, I've had zero luck getting any bounties from pirates, and all the money I've made so far has just been from slowly trading. But at the end of all of this, I went into dock, and I just want to shout out to YouTube user DoubleTake01, who actually stated something that's now pretty obvious to me, but you can actually keybind the landing gear so that landing is much quicker and smoother, and you don't have to fiddle around in your consoles. You can actually just go in and land. So that's made landing a lot quicker and easier for me. So thank you to DoubleTake01. And that's it for this episode. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.